Hey dude, what's up? How's it hanging?
What?
My name is 90s Bro, aka Mr. Cool Slick.
That's a weird name.
Guess what time period I'm from?
Let me guess. Last week?
The 90s! Everything's great from where I'm from. We got the best movies, the best music, the best TV shows. We are so dubious. Died from a gunshot. Ain't cool, bro.
God, he was annoying. You know, he kind of reminds me of this dog. And he could rap. And he could dress just like that guy. Let's be honest. There are a lot of things from the 90s that were cringe with a capital K. Whether it's the clothes people wore at the time or when certain celebrities were at peak relevance, it was all very strange. I never got to experience the 90s because this is what I looked like back then. Obviously there was stuff from back then that are dated and stuff that are timeless. Video games are no exception. Stuff like controls, graphics, setting and story can hold up, or it could smell of moldy cheese from how dated it is, or it could be somewhere in the middle, like Parappa the Rapper. If you've never heard of this game, the best way to describe it is a 2D rapping dog in a 3D world in love with a plant. That actually describes Snoop Dogg. I'll be spoiling the story, so if you don't want to know what happens, click off the video and, I don't know, do something else. Parappa the Rapper is a rhythm-based PS1 game created by them, and it was a success. It's about a dog that wants to impress his crush, Sonny Funny. In order to make her like him, he learns karate from an onion, learns how to drive a car from a moose, learns how to sell items at a flea market from a frog, learns how to bake a cake with a chicken, and it's all just bonkers. Even after all that, he eats so much cake while he's out for a picnic with Sonny Funny, he then really needs to take a shit. He then has to rap his way to the only toilet in the whole town, and in the end raps on stage with Flo Rida doing Purple Face. And that's literally the story. You could finish the whole thing in less than an hour, so don't go buying this game thinking your weekend is set. Let's talk about the characters. Every time Parappa tries to get Sonny's attention, a very tall, manly man dog named Joe Chin inadvertently embarrasses Parappa. When he sees Joe Chin doing something to impress Sonny, it entices Parappa to learn how to do that thing.
Yeah, I know. I gotta believe!
Catchphrase.
This leads the player nicely into the next stage, and I love it. It gives these cutscenes importance and gives every stage a purpose. The lyrics in each rap are in service to Parappa's objective. For example, in the Mooselini stage, Parappa needs to learn how to drive. Every action he takes, the words reflect that. The chicken stage is by far the worst of them all. I swear you could be nearly flawless and yet the game will punish you. I think this has got something to do with the HD TV lag, but still, it's annoying. However, the game itself isn't that hard to beat. All you have to do is press the button that appears on screen. It's as simple as that, which makes it all the more baffling as to why it was so difficult to beat the chicken stage. I understand that games gradually get harder as they go on, but that stage was just too harsh. Even the final few stages are nowhere near as hard. One of my favourite characters in the whole game is the previously mentioned Joe Chin. He is the ultimate Chad, and I love how his presence makes Parappa feel so useless whenever he appears. Parappa himself is so reactionary that it's genuinely hilarious. The way he dresses just reeks of a stereotypical rapper from the time, and it makes me wonder what he's experiencing is just one long LSD trip. Parappa's friends such as PJ Berry and Katie Cat don't really have much of a purpose in the grand scheme of things. You could remove them all from the story and nothing would change. They're mostly there to provide comic relief or react to what the main character was saying. It's not that I don't like them or anything. In fact, I think PJ cracks me up sometimes.
The maximum speed is tuned up to 463,200. Man, it's fast.
Sunny herself is just a strange character, which is saying a lot because she's a plant that can talk. For example, they go out to the picnic that I mentioned earlier, and he is so desperate for the toilet, but doesn't tell her out of embarrassment. This is how she reacts.
Wow, Parappa looks so manly today.
The sheer ignorance of her boyfriend's desperation to take a shit is just so funny. However, the worst thing she does in the entire game is at the very end, dancing with Katie Cat in front of an audience. It feels like a pretty useless reward for completing the game, and I feel nothing when I see this. You could move the camera around, change their outfits, and see some terrifying creatures from hell. There's a lot of lingo that I just don't get.
I've been working here since my mama was a baby.
Like, what does this even mean? Aside from that, the dialogue is actually decent. The comedy mostly comes from visual gags. Some of the character designs just make me laugh from how stupid and ridiculous they look. It's pretty obvious from looking at the FMV cutscenes that every character in the town is in 2D while everything else is in 3D. This makes the characters stand out from the rest of the foreground and background. The actual gameplay has almost everything in 2D. As far as the town itself is concerned, it's pretty well made. Having Parappa do all these various activities show just how huge the town is, even if it doesn't look big. Now, this game has a lot of music and a lot of rapping in it. I wonder what gave that away. So naturally I have to talk about it and explain why I think this game's soundtrack should be played by symphony orchestras every week. The music in this game is some of the best I've ever experienced listening to. Nearly every song is memorable, catchy, and wouldn't sound out of place in a teenage disco. I mean, I assume that's the case. I've never been to one. I don't have any particular preference or taste when it comes to music, so for all I know, people would hate it and think it's worse than the Star Wars prequel movies.
You what?
Honestly, shout out to Masaya Matsura and Yoshihisa Suzuki, the two composers of this game, for making me feel good when listening to this soundtrack. Have a cookie, you both deserve it. However, the lyrics themselves I have mixed opinions on. It's some of the best and some of the worst I've ever heard. For every
When I say boom, 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 you say bam, bam, bam. No pause in between. Come on, let's jam.
there's a
I am a chicken from the kitchen, and I ain't kidding, although nothing is written.
it's all bizarre really. Wait, what time is it? Oh yeah, it's time to talk about the PS1 and PS4 versions of this game. When you pause the PS1 version, you have to start all over again, but the PS4 version, you can continue from where you paused, which is a nice touch. The resolution was also beefed up from 1080p to 4K, and it makes the game look a lot better than the original. You could also hear different versions of the same song,
Every single day, stress comes in every way. I ain't got no time for nobody. Every single day, stress comes in every way. I ain't got no time for nobody.
and change the difficulty if you like. I think the amount of changes made were fine. To be honest, there's not much more you could alter before it becomes completely different from the original, and I respect that. In the end, this game is really good. Despite how bizarre it all looks, it somehow was able to take everything we're seeing and make it funny, whether it was intentional or not. It stinks of 90s cheese, but that's the charm of it. I know it has aged in many ways, but that's what gives it its identity. It's a bit like Adam West's Batman, really corny and had moments that made me want to roll my eyes, but that's what makes it so iconic. I unironically enjoy many aspects of this game, and even the worst parts aren't that bad. Parappa himself became one of PlayStation's biggest mascots, and even appeared as a playable fighter in PlayStation All-Stars. the less said about that game the better. Since the game came out, a spin-off called Unjamalami released in 1999, which I've still yet to play. Come on Sony, if you could re-release The Last of Us twice, then you could just release a remaster of this game now. A sequel came out appropriately called Parappa the Rapper 2. I love this game, and I hope all of you go out of your way to buy it and try it out yourself. Yeah, I'm gonna have to throw out that guy's body. It's been here for a while. Unlike Parappa though, this guy's body won't be timeless.